How to introduce a night like tonight without preaching a good, solid 22-minute sermon. I'm trying to keep it short. It's an evening service, after all. But to come up with something that is not a rehash and repeat of last year or the years before. Why don't we try this? What does Good Friday have to say to us? In other words, if Good Friday had a voice, what would it say to us tonight? That's not all that clever and creative because it's right there in the text. Jesus himself gives Good Friday its voice in these 7 words, or these 7 statements that bring this evening alive for us as to what was really going on. So that first word that we're going to hear tonight, it is an unjust capital punishment. It is death of the guiltless, the innocent, the perfect. What depth of love has there to be, and what is the source of this love that would actually forgive such action against himself like this? I mean, it's one thing to be guilty as sin, like the one thief on the cross next to him. He knows it. He's paying his dues. It's understandable. This is how my society and culture goes down. But for Jesus, there is no sin. There is no guilt. He's blameless. He's innocent. He's perfect. So let this voice of forgiveness, of this great depth, speak to you and stay with you this night. We look at that second word from the cross, from Jesus, and this forgiveness just does not end. It deepens, it widens, it richens, and it actually embraces the guilty. The guilty who are shown in this Jesus, the only source, the only place where the full payment for a sinner's sin can actually be found and be seen and be realized. The repentant sinner actually finds life and freedom, and yes, even joy and relief and profound thanks in this death scene that we're going to experience and relive this evening. Jesus, remember me when you come to your kingdom. And what does he hear? I tell you the truth. Today you will be with me in paradise. It's remarkable. It's just remarkable. Ponder this voice of the second word. Ponder this voice of forgiveness again, but deep and wide and high and rich forgiveness that embraces even sinners, that embraces even me, that embraces even you. This third word, his compassion, it just doesn't end. He's looking at everybody else out in front of him instead of thinking of himself, which is natural when you think about it. That's what drove him to be where he is at right now. Even in the throes of death and pain, he's thinking of other people. In this instance, it's his dear mother. That dear mother that when he was born, we are told, and she treasured up all these things in her heart. Imagine knowing that your son is the divine Son of God. You birthed him. You raised him. You loved him. You nurtured him. You taught him Hebrew and Aramaic. Imagine what's going through her heart right now. And so what does Jesus do? Dear woman, here is your son. And to the disciple, here is your mother. Meditate on this voice of compassion this evening. past the third word and past driving home, meditate on this word this evening. The fourth word. In Hebrew writing, the center verses of, say, let's take a psalm, are always the most important verses. They are the key to understanding what everything else is saying in the psalm. Such is the case tonight. This fourth word is the center of these 7 words from the cross. Spoken from the cross, which is the center cross, which is the center of attention of both his friends and his foes. And the wonder of it all is the why of it all. Because it is this love and burning desire of Jesus to save people from hell and to save us for heaven. The lights go out on the world, and Jesus, the light of the Father's goodness, is taken away from him. This, my friends, was the cost of our sin on Jesus. Forsaken by the Father, he is in hell, which is separation from God, so that we would never be. Meditate on this voice tonight as you're going to bed. That he gave himself not only unto death, but unto hell, so that you would never have to experience it. We get to this fifth word only when he knew that everything was finished. Only when he knew that all of the scriptures had totally been fulfilled. Then does he ask for some water so that he can speak his closing words. And his closing words roll right into the sixth word. A man had a close experience with death, and he was elderly, and he was not a believer in Jesus Christ as his Savior from sin. And he looked up the first pastor that he could find. He went inside, he dashed into his office, and he said, Pastor, you have to tell me, what must I do to be saved? And the pastor looks at him and says, what did he say? You're too late. What? What do you mean? No, this is important. You're a pastor. You're supposed to have an answer for times like this. Tell me, what must I do to be saved? I told you. You're too late. And he pauses and he adds, because it's already been done. What is it like to live in the "it is finished" generation? The sin that condemns souls to hell, it is finished this night. The perfect life lived in your place, it is remembered that it is finished this night. The plan to make the unrighteous righteous, that took millennia, it is finished this night. God's condemnation and punishment for sin because of Jesus, it is finished this night. And the plan that shows the way of salvation for all those who believe is finished tonight. And it is confirmed for the doubting Thomases in 3 days. Ponder this voice of profound love tonight on your way home and into Easter Saturday. That last word of the cross, it was always and only Jesus' desire to carry out his Father's will. So tightly bound is the love of the Trinity for one another in their effort to be able to save sinners from hell and for heaven. And he has done it. It is finished. Now he entrusts himself to the one who willed that the creatures that he formed from the dust of the ground and breathed into them, their nostrils, the breath of life, that they would not be separated from him forever, but they would be with him now forever. But here in his lowest moment, in the moment where he is closest to death, he longs to be back with his Father in heaven again. And so he says, Father, into your hands I commit my spirit. Make the words of this voice of Good Friday tonight the words of your voice. So what does Good Friday have to say to us if it had a voice? It would say, you are a member of the royal priesthood, holy saints, a member of the it is finished generation. All thanks to behold your Savior.